This week on the Analog Circle podcast, could the next God of War setting take place in Egyptian mythology? Well, according to reports, it could be a real good chance that this is happening. There is a report that a new Avengers game could be in the works. We get an update on what Moon Studios is working on and their future plans. And Phil Spencer talks about the Series S and X parody clause. Oh, this brother right here. But all of these stories can be found here and a whole lot more in episode 242 of the Analog Circle podcast. I am your host, Keon Mitchell, and welcome to the show. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Come on in, sit down and relax because we're going to have some great conversations today. And if you're not in the office or you're not at home and you're traveling, then hopefully we can accompany you to your destination. Now, with that being said, guys, if you want to be a part of listener feedback, you can do it two different ways. You can either call in, and the phone number is 443-627-9087, and let your voice be heard. Or you can email the show, and the email is very easy. It's the name of the show. It is the Analog Circle Podcast at gmail.com. Brothers and sisters, I tell you, some big news happened this week, and I don't have all of the details. But what I do know is Hiroki Totoki is now the CEO of Sony. We know that he was the working, at least the, the substitute CEO of PlayStation, but they have moved him from that position to taking over pretty much the whole company. Now, I do know that Herman Hulse, he's still the CEO of Studios, if I'm not mistaken, and it's one other gentleman. I forget his name, but he's actually in charge of the PlayStation console. Matter of fact, Google might be able to help us. Let's see. Who just took over the PlayStation console sector? Yeah, we'll just leave it there. Hold on. It didn't even bring it up. All right, let's try it again. Who just took over the PlayStation console sector of gaming? Yup, that's his name. Hideki Nishino. He took over, as the CEO of Sony Interactive, the company. He's going to be in charge of platform business and all of that stuff. So you have Hiroki Totoki at the top. Then you have, again, Herman Hulse, who's taking care of the studios. And you have Hideki Nishino also being in the mix as well. So 3 different CEOs of different sections of the company. But the big question that I've been hearing, and this has been only less than 24 hours, maybe 24 hours now that this situation has happened. But the question that people have now is, with Hiroki Totoki being the guy that used to be in charge of the finances, is it going to be a situation where now that he's in charge of the company as a whole, will he still allow PlayStation to develop, to still give them those same big budgets that they're used to getting to actually make their games? Or will he be the type of person that's like, we can penny pinch here, we can take this away, you don't need to make that type of game, you need to be making this type of game. So I'm hoping that Hiroki Totoki is going to continue to let these guys flourish and do what they've been doing, make sure that they're able to stay creative and that they continue to give them their big budgets. But again, him being a money guy, it's very, very questionable what's going to happen. But we do know one thing about PlayStation, that is Sony's bread and butter. And the last thing they want to do is have a situation where PlayStation is and this is being very dramatic, but where they're falling off a cliff, as it were, when it comes to quality and them actually having the budget to be able to do what we know them to be able to do when they have the budget behind them. But we will see what happens with this in the upcoming days, weeks, and months. But with that being said, though, guys, let's go ahead and let's get into what we all come here for, and that is no doubt the gaming news that went down. So let's get things started with the story that I actually got from GameSpot. Now, for MLB The Show fans, this year will be coming with a few changes. I do mean these are some kind of big changes. Now, for one, the game will be available for Switch, Xbox Series X and S, and PlayStation 5, and it will not be available for PlayStation 4 or Xbox One. God dog. Finally. No longer available on those consoles. Man, what the heck am I getting so happy for? This thing is still on the Switch. Oh, God, dog, that just set in. But anyway, so it won't be available on the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One. Now, the other big change will be that the show 2025 will not be on platform subscription services in 2025. End of quote. So no Game Pass day and date or PlayStation Plus. And that is a first, because I think since 2021, MLB The Show has been on Game Pass day and date. So either, God dog, what has happened with this situation? Has it been something where them putting it inside of Game Pass has not really made them the money that they were hoping for it to be able to generate, and it would be better off them actually selling the game full price on that console? Could that be the case? I do believe so, because we heard that 80% of the money is lost when you put your game inside of Xbox Game Pass. Now, let's double check those numbers, because I don't want to spew bad information. Now, I have to see if I can word this the right way, but let's see. What is the percentage that games lose when they're in Xbox Game Pass? Oh, yeah, it is. It says games in Xbox Game Pass can lose up to 80% of their sales on Xbox consoles. Now, this figure, it says this is the figure that's often cited, but the exact percentage can vary. So there, usually 80%, but it does vary. So it seems like possibly MLB, Sony Santa Monica said, look, this is getting expensive. Okay, we no longer are putting this game on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. It is solely on next generation consoles outside of the Switch, but it's on solely current generation consoles. We're going to lose a lot of revenue. I don't think we can afford to put this in Game Pass, or possibly Xbox, Microsoft might have said it's not worth the squeeze. We're not getting the subscriptions to be able to, I guess, as it were, make up for how much this is actually costing the company. So again, you can never beat the price when you're paying full price for a game versus actually having it show up inside of a service. So again, for anybody on both sides, PSN or Xbox Game Pass, that was expecting that MLB 25, the show, was going to be there, it will not be there in the whole year of 2025. So maybe sometime down the line, maybe it'll come to those services. Now, the game will release on March 14th, 2025 for pre-orders. Now, pre-orders start actually on February 4th, which will, of course, like I said, give you early access to the game again on March 14th. Now, if you're interested in this game and you want to see the gameplay, you want to see what you're going to be able to play this year because you're a fan and you're looking forward to MLB 25, then the first gameplay trailer will be revealed on February 4th at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, the game officially releases, if you're not doing pre-orders, on March 18th, 2025. Let's go ahead though, guys, and let's get into the next story that I got from Game Rant. So let's get into some interesting gaming superhero news, which I guess is under rumors.
Rumor has it is something that only I know.
So this news is being reported by Comic Basis. Now, this info is coming from insider Daniel Reitman, who claims that Marvel is looking to continue capitalizing on their newly released and successful title, Marvel Rivals, with a standalone Avengers title. Now, outside of that, details are very scarce, but one detail that's being pointed out is the game will not be, and I have to repeat this, it will not be connected to the Crystal Dynamics developed Marvel Avengers. Now, the only other possible clue to this rumor that makes it sound pretty plausible, something to kind of lean into, is that last summer, a rumor was circulating around that Marvel was looking to develop a game set in the MCU. So we'll see what happens. Now, we do understand, to be fair, like I mentioned before, we know that Iron Man has a game that's going to be releasing under EA. Black Panther has a game releasing under EA. Heck, Black Panther and Captain America are going to be in the game Marvel 1943 together. I mean, we have Marvel Rivals that's also out there on the scene. So there is no shortage. And also, not to mention Wolverine and Spider-Man, and maybe during around like 2029 to 2030, if the leaks continue to be true, we'll be getting an X-Men game as well. So these IPs, these Marvel IPs are very, very busy and extremely active. So, I mean, we gotta say that. And the other thing I would say though, is when it comes to this Avengers game, I'm hoping it's true because we understand that games as a service situation with Marvel Avengers might not have done it any favors, or we know it didn't. But the game, to me, from what I played and I didn't finish it, it seemed like a decent game. It seemed pretty good. So hopefully, whoever is developing this, I don't know who it's going to be. We'll see, as time goes on, what developer will be behind this game. If, again, this rumor is true, but I do believe it is a lot. And I do mean a lot of potential that could be behind a Marvel's Avengers game that is done the right way. But we'll see what happens with this. But let's go ahead and let's get into the next story that I got from Games Radar. So if you're not familiar with Thomas Maller, or Maller, yeah, that's his name. He's the CEO of Moon Studios. Now, the studio behind I got to say this, God dog. That studio, to me, is behind two of the best platformers ever made, and I would be talking about the Ori franchise. Ori and the Will of the Wisp, and Ori and the Blind Forest, which was the first one. Unbelievable platformer. If you have not played those games, I highly recommend that you do yourself a favor and play those games. I mean, they are platform platinum and gold. Amazing gameplay. But that's the studio that we're talking about here for the moment. Now, Mallard he spoke to fans over on Discord, and he told them that the studio, and this was a bit of a letdown, he did say that the studio would be working on their latest game, No Rest for the Wicked, for the next 5 to 10 years. Yes, he said they will be working on this game for the next 5 to 10 years. Now, when he said that, a fan said it's, quote, sad, end of quote, that we won't get another Ori platformer for another 10 years. But Maller, he responded and said, and I quote, don't know about that. Wicked is the highest priority for me. But we just had a call from Microsoft a few days ago. Let's see what'll happen. We'll be able to do a lot of things. But again, I'll be on Wicked and perfecting it, or Wicked and perfected, end of quote. Now, Maller did admit Ori 3 might already be in the works at another studio. And he agreed that collaborating with Hollow Knight studio team Cherry would be, quote, rad indeed, end of quote. Now, we also answered the concerns of a fan not wanting another studio to work on Ori, but instead would rather, and I have to agree with this guy, I would rather wait for Moon Studios to get around to developing it. But Maller did say this. He said, basically, the new studio that could be taking over Ori 3, he was saying that the new studio could already take the mechanics that they made and expand on it. Now, they would need some, quote, incredibly good level designers, end of quote. But he did say story-wise, he couldn't think of any studio off the top of his head that would be perfect or would be a perfect fit to continue the story. So once again, he's saying, look, Ori 3, it could be in the works, but it could be being done by another studio. Now, he believes, look, they'll take the mechanics of what they've already done, what they've created, kind of redefine it a little bit, add a little bit of cherries, a little bit of whipped cream on top, make it a little sweeter, and it will be fine. He doesn't think that it would be that bad. He thinks that a studio would be able to take over it and do well. But where he feels like it could be a problem is the storytelling. So again, not saying that it is in the works. I mean, I'm not saying that it's not in the works, that it could be possibly in the works, but these are the things that could come up and possibly take away maybe a little bit of that story magic, because again, he doesn't know what studio would be a good fit for that. But it seems like the Hollow Knight team, what are they called again? Cherry? It was here somewhere. Hold on. Let me see. Studio, Moon Studios, Maller, good level. I can't even find the name of the studio. But yeah, the guys that are behind Hollow Knight, he said that it would be great to work with them. Team Cherry, that's their name. Studio Team Cherry. It'd be nice to work with them. And from what I hear, Hollow Knight is an amazing platformer. It's fantastic. And we still haven't got the newest one yet. So with a team like that, even though I don't know their caliber of how great they are, I'm not too sure about their platforming. But, you know, according to so many other people that are looking forward to their latest game, it seems like these guys really have a good handle on what the platform genre is all about. So having them actually working on the game could be great. But again, with the gameplay and everything all coming together, great level design, the story could still be a bit of a problem. And I got to tell you, God dog, the story in Ori and the Blind Forest, I can't speak 100% for Will of the Wisp because I didn't finish it, but I will say, man, that game had me in my feels in no time. It was almost like a Disney movie. Absolutely incredible. So hopefully they will be able to find a studio that will be a perfect fit for that story, because that story is very emotion filled. It's very emotional, you know, and you don't want to lose that, because that is a nice size key piece to what makes Ori such a special franchise. But we will see what happens with all of this in the near future. But God dog, working on For No Rest for the Wicked for another 5 to 10 years is outrageous. But we'll see what happens in the future. Let's go ahead though, guys, and let's move on into the next story that I actually got from The Gamer. So it's not video game shattering news, but person like me, when you're extremely excited about a project, any bit of information is welcome. So there has been an alleged new leak when it comes to Insomniac's Wolverine title that shows 4 Wolverine costumes. And the leaker, his name is U/illustrious with a hyphen sign spelled SIGN 3015. He's the one that, got to give credit to him. Now, to his credit, though, these are allegedly actual screenshots that I literally am looking at. So the first suit is a black, well, we know about this suit, is a black and yellow costume. Now, it's a screenshot of him. Also, this is the other suit of Wolverine in his original brown ochre, suit. It's going to be a yellow and blue suit. Now, I believe that is called the Astonishing X-Men suit. Yeah, he's in the yellow and blue as well. And they also show another version, an alternate version of the original brown suit that's complete with a utility belt and pants instead of Wolverine looking like he got some some underwear on, the trunks or whatever. But it's also being rumored that an X-Force costume and a Days of Future Past outfit could also possibly make their way into the game. Now, it's one thing worth noting. Now, this way it gets a little shaky. This may not happen because it is worth noting that this build that is being shown is over a year old. So, in that time span of a time in a year, a lot of things can change. So I just wanted to put that caveat out there. None of this is 100% gonna happen, but these are the screenshots that we have to go off of. And if we're thinking about Insomniac's, their track record when it comes to suits, and all we got to do is look at what they have done with Spider-Man 1, Spider-Man Miles Morales, and Spider-Man 2. They have a ton of outfits for Spider-Man and Miles Morales. They continue to just keep them rolling out more and more and more. So I can't even think of expecting anything less when it comes to Wolverine. But again, like I was saying before, it's no telling if the game is going to come out in this year, 2025, because they are being very, very secretive about that release year. So we'll just have to stay tuned. And like I mentioned before, maybe we'll get a state of play in February and they will talk about Wolverine there, but we shall see. Let's go ahead though, guys, and let's get into the next story that I actually got from GameSpot. Now, we all know the backlash. Oh my gosh, man. I mean, we've seen it time and time again, but the backlash that the Series S has had this generation from specific games not showing up on the platform as a result of it not being powerful enough or too difficult to develop for. So because of this, maybe, just maybe for certain instances, the parody clause could take a back seat, if not to be done with completely, totally do away with it. But before we get there, Phil Spencer, he was asked directly if Microsoft could remove or amend the quote parody clause, end of quote, between the Series X and S, where Phil responded with, and I quote, in a way, I think about it almost exactly the opposite way right now, end of quote. And then, oh man, he went on to say he thinks Microsoft is at a real advantage with the Series S because, quote, when we look at something like a Steam Deck or a ROG Ally, we've got this Xbox Series S version of the game that's more tailored to the device, specs of a lot of devices that are getting introduced right now. I think that helps us. Now, Mr. Spencer also said, that was the end of that quote, but Mr. Spencer also said, and I quote, "I'm playing Indiana Jones on the Series S, and it looks great. It's definitely capable of playing current generation games in a great way." Mr. Spencer.
Oh, shut up. Did I say? Say it again. Say something else. Oh, say something else. Say something else.
Phil, what are you talking about? Phil, you would rather compare a Series S to a handheld device. There is no correlation between the two. There's two totally different crowds. You're talking about you would rather make it so because of the Series S, the Series X has to suffer for the shortcomings of the Series S, and that's okay. Just because you're playing Indiana Jones, this brother said he's playing Indiana Jones, and and it's playing in a great way. Phil, if these developers are out there and they're telling you it's a problem, that the Series S is a problem and the games are not going to make it to your platform, I would think that you would say, you know what? Let me look out for my fan base first. These are paying customers. And I don't want to hear that the Series S is the majority of Xboxes, because there was a report that just came out not too long ago that 51%, it's either 50 or 51% of Xbox owners have a Series X. So it's not even a situation where it's like, well, look, we can't really do that because there's more Series S's out there than X's. And even if it is, people paid an extra $200 for that console. Why should it be? Oh man, why should it be hampered because of the Series S? You're basically saying to your fan base, Phil, that look, I understand that, hey, this game might not make it to the platform, but hey, tough. It's tough. Okay, deal with it. If it can't run on the Series S, we're not going to be able to put it on the console. That's just not fair. And I understand life isn't fair, but doggone, you have people out there paying $500 for a Series X to really get that premium gaming experience. But because of the Series S not being strong enough, it is being gimped. Their experience is being gimped, and you want to talk about it. You think it's a real advantage with the S because of the Steam Deck and the ROG Ally having the same kind of specs, or the S having the same kind of specs or playing the same kind of games that are tailored to that device and the specs of a lot of the other devices. Phil, come on, my brother. These are the kinds of questions where I'm like, I don't even understand why. I don't understand why. And again, I never judge Phil off of him personally. It's only, again, as him as the Xbox CEO. The leader, the guy with, everything. I mean, dealing with Xbox outside of Satya Nadella, of course, but it stops with him. And he's saying, pretty much, don't worry about it. I'm playing Indiana Jones. I'm having fun with it. You could have fun with it too. The Series S is more than capable of running pretty much next generation games, or current generation games, pardon me, in a great way. I might add that he said, end of quote. I just don't think so. I think that, of course, Phil Spencer, he's going to say what he has to say, but I do believe, matter of fact, we're going to talk about that. That's going to be the question of the week. I know you see it right now, but we got to talk about this a little bit later. So I'll leave it here and I'll pick it back up at the end of the show. But doggone, Phil, come on, man. I would have definitely expected a better answer than that. But nonetheless, let's go ahead though, guys, and let's move on. We'll pick that back up later. But let's get on into the next story that I got from thedirect.com. So this is quick news, but according to gaming journalist Daniel Camillo, DLC for Black Myth Wukong is on the way. Now he said, and I quote, DLC for Black Myth Wukong will come out somewhere near the Chinese New Year 2025. That is right at the end of January or very soon after. End of quote. Give me 1 second. So, again, a game that has been up for multiple awards, a game that has been has been accepted, has been critically to a certain degree, critically acclaimed. This studio's first AAA outing to the dance, and it's been extremely successful. So again, with them capitalizing on the success of Black Myth Wukong and coming out with some DLC very soon. I mean, we are on the 29th day of January as it stands. You can't get much later than this in the month. But again, he did say that it could come very soon after. So maybe sometime in the early days of February, we just may get this DLC. But only time will tell. We'll see if this actually ends up being true. But let's go ahead though, guys, and let's get into the next story that I actually got from Insider Gaming. So allegedly, Gears of War E-Day is supposed to, oh my goodness, this would be unbelievable, but it's supposed to release later this year. Of course, this hasn't been confirmed. It's still rumors. Now that would be insane. An absolute clinic of games being released by Xbox in such a short span of time. This would be incredible, but we don't know if it's true yet. But it's one thing, though, that we do know is true, and this is for sure, is People Can Fly is co-developing E-Day with the Coalition. God darn, I don't know if this is good or bad. Actually, I think this is actually good, because what's interesting about this, well, before I get into all of that, let me continue on. Now, People Can Fly CEO Sebastian said this, and I quote, "Returning to collaborate on the next chapter of this legendary saga is both a privilege and an exciting opportunity to build upon the intense, visceral action and rich storytelling that fans have come to love. We are deeply grateful for our partners' trust and support on this journey." End of quote. Now, Coalition Studio head Mike Crump also chimed in and said this. He said, quote, "We're pleased to be partnering with the talented folks at People Can Fly who have been a part of our franchise's legacy for so long." End of quote. Now, if you guys have been listening to the podcast for any nice length of time, you guys know that People Can Fly has a special place in my gaming heart, because they still are at the top of the heap at making my favorite first-person shooter of all time, which is Bulletstorm. I have been praying for years that game gets a sequel. They will do everything but a sequel. They will release it in VR. They released it on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, when it was originally released on the 360 and PS3. But they will not make a sequel. So, I'm still not giving up, but because of that, they are still, one of my favorite developers. Now, they also made Gears of War Judgment, which a lot of people said, oh man, that game was terrible. It wasn't great. I played Gears of War Judgment. That was a bit of the spinoff. And now I didn't finish it though. To be honest, I didn't finish it, but it was the spinoff, of Gears that I believe, oh man, I forgot the main character's name. He's actually like very smart. One of the like very smart characters inside of Gears. Hold on. Let me look his name up real quick. Golly. Cause I know it wasn't Marcus Phoenix. Who was the main protagonist in Gears of War Judgment? Yeah, Damon Baird. Yeah, Baird. Yeah, he was the actual, the main character, the main protagonist. So yeah, I remember playing through the game. I didn't think it was that bad. I thought it was pretty good. So I find it very interesting though that they're actually, they worked on Judgment, which, that was supposed to be, I think before, or at least at a certain time, during the Gears franchise, where I think it took place. Let me see. Where did Gears of War Judgment take place? I was the wrong thing to say. But anyway, I'm not going to get long winded with this. It took place, if I'm not, hold on, let me try one more thing. Did Gears of War Judgment take place before Gears of War?
According to the Gamer Drive, so Judgment takes place about 15 years before the original.
I thought
Gears of
so.
War, but don't think that the situation of Sarah is any better.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I thought it was like a prequel to a certain degree, way before, the events actually happened on, or in Gears of War. So yeah, I find it very interesting that they're pretty much doing the same thing where they worked on Gears of War Judgment. That was 15 years before Gears of War. And now they're working on Gears of War E-Day, which is also, golly, how many years before? I got to look that up too. Let's see. Cause I know it's a prequel again. How many years before Gears of War does Gears of War E-Day take place?
14 years. According to Wikipedia, as the sixth mainline installment in the Gears of War franchise, it is set 14 years before the events of the original game.
Yeah, so yet here we go again with People Can Fly actually being at the helm, or at least, co-developing at the helm, with another Gears of War that's taking place years before the events of, the original game. So I think this is really good. Again, People Can Fly. They're still one of my favorite studios. I haven't really played anything from them lately, as of late, but I do have I have a lot of faith that they will get this correct, especially working hand in hand with the coalition. And I know they know how important this game is. I mean, we're talking about, oh my goodness, Dom, man. And Marcus Phoenix. Oh my gosh. It's going to be, it's going to be incredible. I already know it, but they're going to be, again, working on the franchise yet again, pretty much, I would say at a perfect time too, cause it's taking place years before events actually take place in the original Gears. Now I do want to know if they worked on any other Gears of War games, because I found it interesting that, that Crump did say that they were a part of their franchise's legacy for so long. So I do want to see if they worked on anything else. What Gears of War games did People Can Fly work on? Okay, it says, all right, People Can Fly worked on the PC port of Gears of War 2, and Gears of War Judgment. So yeah, they're 3 deep. It says they are also co-developing. Oh yeah. Gears of War E-Day with the coalition. So they've been around for quite some time. So yeah, I really have a lot of high hopes that they'll definitely be able to knock this out of the park 100%. But can't wait to see it. Maybe we get something on it sometime at this year's Xbox man, what is it called? Showcase. Xbox's showcase sometime this summer. Oh my gosh, that would be amazing. That would be incredible. Depending on how good that game looks. Oh, buddy, I don't know. Depending on what the price of the Series X is, that just might tip the scales just a little bit for me to want to go out there and buy it, because I know Gears of War E-Date is not coming to the PlayStation day and date. It's probably not going to show up for 2 or 3 years. And for Gears of War, I don't know if I can wait that long, but we'll see though. We'll see what happens. Let's go ahead though, guys, and let's get into the next story that I actually got from the Game Post. So according to a new report, Sony is working on a brand new God of War title set in Egyptian mythology. Now, this rumor is coming from Daniel Reitman, who's a source for Entertainment Inside Scoops. Now, he revealed that, quote, Sony is casting Middle Eastern actors for an unknown AAA game, which is likely to be the next God of War that explores Egyptian mythology, end of quote. Now this is the thing. This is what makes this really interesting, because even though Sony hasn't announced it officially, this really isn't out of the realm of possibility, because during the making, I don't know if y'all saw the documentary, but during the making of God of War documentary, Cory Barlog did reveal that the studio, they did consider the setting in the game in Egyptian mythology before ultimately deciding, to make the setting in Norse mythology instead. So we know that a bit of the, maybe not the legwork per se was put into it actually being in Egyptian mythology, but we do know that there was one point in time where they considered it. So now that pretty much the Norse mythology situation is pretty much wrapping up, with them actually going this route. Oh man, I don't know much. I really don't know anything about Egyptian mythology. Man, matter of fact, hold on, Shugs. I can find out something right now. What does Egyptian mythology pertain to? It says Egyptian mythology was a belief system that explained the world, natural phenomena of the gods, role in human life. It also influenced many aspects of ancient Egyptian culture, including artwork and social classes. What did Egyptian mythology explain? Let me see. The gods, the afterlife, the cycle of life, the nature of disorder, the fight between good and evil. God, dog, all of this encompasses what Egyptian mythology is all wrapped up in. So I'm not going to make this too long-winded, but that seems like a great setting to me, where if God of War is going there, man, count me in. And I will say this too. This has been maybe a couple of years ago, maybe maybe going on 2 years ago. I remember somebody did a mock-up on Instagram of what Kratos would look like in Egypt or in Egyptian mythology. I said, wow, that looks amazing. Now I know it's a mock-up. I get all of that. It wasn't real, but it made me look and see what the potential of a God of War taking place in Egyptian mythology could be. I mean, listen, this will be the third one, well, the third mythology that they have visited. I would love to see what happens with this. I'm very interested to see how this actually materializes, and more importantly, if it is even true. But hopefully very soon we will find out some concrete details about this situation. Give me 1 second. All right. So let's go ahead, though, guys, and let's get into the next story that I actually got from Push Square. So there are major changes coming to PS Plus Essentials. Now, the PlayStation blog says this, and I quote, "As we shift to PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4 games will no longer be a key benefit and will only be occasionally offered for PlayStation Plus monthly games and game catalog starting January 2026. We may still provide titles that can be playable on both PS4 and PS5 consoles after this date." End of quote. Now they continue and say this as well, and I quote, "As we shift our focus to PS5, we look forward to adding new PS5 titles monthly for you to enjoy." Wow. Wow. Oh, I like that. I like that. Now, granted, am I a PSN member? Heck no. And I never will be. But it does show the growth. It shows that by January of 2026, literally a year, slightly less than a year if we're talking about January 1st, 2026, but they did not say that. They just said January of 2026. This shows that they are finally, after 6 years it'll be, of the PlayStation 5 being released, that they are finally leaving the PlayStation 4 in the dust. They're moving forward. At least that's what it says to me. And that actually adds more value, that now you don't have to worry about getting PlayStation 4 games inside of your service, but moving forward after January of 2026, you will be getting PlayStation 5 games for the most part, because they said, just to be clear and to be fair, they said that they may still provide titles that can be playable on both PS4 and PS5 consoles after this date. So it could slightly slip into that, but it seems like it'll have to be a title that is both compatible with PS4 and PS5, meaning that maybe there is a better PlayStation 5 version out there, similar to Horizon Zero Dawn, how you can actually play the PlayStation 4 version, but there is a PlayStation 5 version available. Just like The Last of Us Part 2, it's the same situation. So maybe, again, after January 2026, maybe that's what they mean. And I'm not saying that's exactly what they mean, but possibly that could be what they mean by PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 games may still be available. That'll kind of be the caveat. So again, I think this is fantastic for people that have the service. Again, you'll be getting your money's worth, because you know that after January 2026, all of the games, well, most of the games are going to be PlayStation 5 games that will be offered to you as a paying customer. Let's go ahead, though, guys, and let's get into the next story that I actually got from WCCF Tech. So we have some great new news when it comes to Phantom Blade Zero, and I love this for myself. Now, this info comes via an interview from Taiba. It's spelled Tieba. I believe it's a Japanese website. Taiba. That reveal, I know I butchered it, pardon me, but it reveals that the game will take 20 to 30 hours to complete. Now, on top of an additional, now we said 20, 30 hours for you to complete the game, but additionally, it's going to be an additional, man, I can't even get it together. It's going to be an additional 20 hours of side content as well. Now, that's all fine and good. That's great. I don't have any problems with that. Sounds amazing to have that many hours in a game. But this was the thing that got me overly excited. Now, the game will also feature, I can't say it enough. It was so refreshing to me. The game will feature 4 difficulty levels ranging from simple to extremely difficult. And no matter what difficulty level you play on, game players will not have to completely restart boss battles upon them being beat or defeated. Instead of having to start all the way from the beginning, you can start at the second phase of the boss battle if you make it that far. God dog, this is not a Souls-like game. Goodness gracious. Thank you. Thank you. Man, I was so nervous when I saw that trailer. I said, God dog, this game looks so good. I want to play it so bad. But if this is a Souls-like, help me out. I'm not doing it. I can't do it. But when they talked about those difficulty settings, oh man, you know I'm bumping this down to easy. I'm bumping it down to easy, brothers. I'm trying to get through the story. I'm trying to get through these boss fights. Man, I just want to have fun. Y'all know my motto. I play games for fun, not difficulty. I had enough of that during the Nintendo era. That era was terrible. Atari wasn't so hard, but that Nintendo era, God darn, that meant hard times. Ninja Gaiden, the original one, anybody? Good gosh. So when they talked about this, sign me up. I want this game. I want it. Now, again, we're supposed to be getting a release date for it sometime later this year, but because of this and them saying that when you're in that fight, you know, you're fighting the boss and you get to the second form of the boss, you don't have to start all the way from the beginning. God dog, bravo, bravo, bravo. Man, that feels so good to hear that finally it's a game out there that even though it looks like it could be a Souls-like game, it is not trying to be that. I absolutely love it. Can't wait for this game to release. It already looks fantastic. And again, with those options, sign me up on the dotted line. Can't wait for this one. But let's go ahead though, guys, and let's get into the next story, or I should say the final story for this week that I actually got from 80 Level. So yet again, dog, more GTA 6 rumors. Now this time, oh man, the rumors.
Rumor has it is something that only I know.
Oh my gosh. So this time is coming from a Montevideo local at a video game store. And I don't know how to pronounce this place, and pardon me. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but Uruguay is spelled Uruguay. Uruguay? Pardon me. But they claim that GTA 6 is releasing on September 17th, 2025. Oh boy. Hold on. Oh man. I don't know about this, but the interesting thing is the store in question, they boast a 97% trust score on Scam Advisor, and they have a 5 out of 5 rating on Tripad Advisor. Now, the name of the geek store, that's what they call it out there, geek store, or the website rather, is it's XURUGUAY.com.UY. And if you go to that website, at least maybe, I guess that was about 2 hours ago now, maybe 3 hours ago, I was on there, you could still see the listing of GTA 6 up on that website. So again, this is not a bogus place. I mean, like they mentioned, the article mentioned this 80 levels. They mentioned it's at a 97% trust score on the internet. So again, who's to say if this is true or not? Like all of these stories that are rumors, take it with a mustard seed of truth. But according to them, in this place called Montevideo, I don't even know where that, man, let's look that up. I got to know where this is. Let's see. Hold on. Where is Montevideo located? Let me see. Montevideo was situated on the southern coast of the country on the northeastern bank of the Rio de la Plateau, Montevideo, Ciudad de San, okay. It's the southern hemisphere of the Atlantic seaboard. Oh, of South America. Oh, okay, between 53 and 58 west longitude and 30 and 35 south latitude. Okay, so this is South America. Oh, shucks, God.
Move this man!
Oh, shucks. Darn. Pardon me, God doggy. Pardon me. But that's where it's at, though. So it's being reported out there, South America, that on September 17th, 2025, Grand Theft Auto 6 is releasing. Matter of fact, hold on. Ho. That date sounds familiar. Hold on, man. No way. No way. What day did Grand Theft Auto 5 release?
The initial release date of Grand Theft Auto 5 was September 17th.
Oh my gosh. Oh man, he got me. That Joker got me, man. This dude ain't doing nothing but guessing. Guesswork. Oh my gosh. I really thought I had something here. Listen, anything can happen.
But wait, it gets worse.
God, dog. Joker had me, man. I thought we had something here. Ah, man.
What you talking about, Willis?
Anyway, that man during all that, we'll see what happens. September 17th, 2025. If it happens, this guy's gonna look like doggone Nostradamus out the thing. Hey, man, let me get out of here. That's the end of this gaming news this week. God, dog, man, we got to go. We got to go. Got to get the heck out of here. I'm fumbling and bumbling around here. Anyway, with that being said, though, that leads us into the final section of the podcast this week. And I know you guys saw the question, and you know where the question stemmed from. But let's go over it officially. So, should the Xbox parody clause be taken out? We know Phil Spencer, he said, nah, he thinks the opposite should happen when it comes to it. I just really feel like, look, and I'm going to make this quick. If your customer base paid for a $500 console to get a certain performance out of it, and that was the deal, it was marketed as the world's most powerful console. And we understand that that might not be true now because the PlayStation 5 Pro is out there. But that's what you advertised the console to be. That's the title that you gave it. I just don't think it's fair to have a console that has so much more potential underneath the hood be gimped because its little brother can't keep up. I think that it should be, and I understand that Phil, he did bend the rules on this when it came to Baldur's Gate 3. He did say, okay, nah, you can do it for that. He did bend the rules when it came to that. I just think that, the kid glove should be taken off completely and let the Series X do what it is capable of doing. Take the governor off and let that thing fly down the cyber highway, as it were, and perform at its highest peak and not have to be governed because of the Series S's lack of being able to keep up with the same performance as the X. I would love to get you guys' opinion on this. As always, if you want to be a part of the conversation, you can do it two different ways. You can either email the show, and the email address is the name of the show. It's the Analog Circle Podcast at gmail.com. Or if you want to call in and let your voice literally be heard, you can call in at 443-627-9087. I was your host, Keon Mitchell, and I want to thank you guys again for being here.
You big dummy.
Oh my goodness. That was messed up. Anyway, thank y'all. I do it every single time, god dog. Oh, man. Man, the way I was fumbling and bumbling, I might have had that one coming. But anyway, you guys might have realized that at this point, it's been 2 episodes that have been put up, the one before this one and this one. And the reason why I put this one up is because I might not record next week. We'll see what happens. And I also wanted to see if, I could not necessarily do it, but it was so much news this week that happened. So many things happened this week. I didn't want to make it all one episode to make the one episode be like 2 and some change hours long. So I just wanted to split it up. But who knows? I think we'll be back at it again next Wednesday. I think so. But if not, just know that this is to hopefully hold you over until the following Wednesday. But again, thank you guys for being here. It's greatly appreciated. Now, before we officially wrap this thing up and put a bow on it, always remember one thing. It is not about the consoles. It is about the games. So until possibly next Wednesday when we do it again, until then, you guys take care. Be safe out there. Bye-bye.